I think my message to anybody right now is this. It's that if you say you value your customers and you charge them well over $4+ a watt all the time, if you're in the $5 a watt, you don't care about your customers. You don't. You're a liar. You care about your money. You're selfish. We don't want you. Nobody should want you. The reality is if you actually care about the customers that you claim to serve, then you probably need to be selling at fair prices.
This is the Solar Disruption Theory.
Welcome back to another episode of the Solar Disruption Theory. My name is Chad Towner. Today we've got an awesome show lined up for you today. We've got the president of sales for Freedom Forever. His name is Kylie Powell. Kylie, how you doing? Welcome on the show.
Good. Thank you for having me.
We've never had you on before.
I'm a rookie.
Been a long time coming. So today we've got a partnership we want to talk about. So we've brought the owners of Boundless Energy, CEO Riley Traveler, and the president, Jay Pelletz. How you guys doing?
Doing good, man. Doing great.
Doing great. Excited to be here.
Well, thank you guys for joining. I know we've got a lot to get into. There's a big announcement that you guys have recently made, and let's just get right into it. We did a podcast with you like a year and a half ago, just talked about the partnership. You guys have been with Freedom Forever since June of 2020, right?
Correct.
So several years. How has the partnership gone? And then I want to kind of get into what the future might look like with Freedom Forever. But, let's sum up the last couple of years, because there's just been a lot of ups and downs and a lot of changes in solar in general.
Well, I think we can address the elephant in the room. We know why we're here. Viewership is down a little bit on the podcast. And, if, Game 7 of the World Series, game's getting close, like the Yankees are bringing in Mariano, They're bringing in the closer. They got to get a W. And so you brought in the closers. You brought in the aces. Viewership is going to go up. Correct me if I'm wrong. Top viewed podcast?
I was going to say, is this some reference to the podcast you did with us last time, which was the second time we had recorded it because we lost the first, the file on the first recording?
It would have been so much better, that first take.
But we would like to know the viewership on the first one. What do we rank?
I don't know what you rank now, but the last time we checked, you were either number 1 or number 2, depending on the platform. But I thought that we had dug into the IP address and they all came from your laptop. So it's kind of,
They did.
It's still debatable. I don't know. I don't know how we got there.
I actually hurt my finger hitting enter so many times.
Just refresh.
Refresh.
Yeah.
Yep.
No, but you guys, it's been a long time. A lot has happened, right? A lot has happened since the last time we had a podcast episode. Before that was 2022, I think. And, COVID had happened, but interest rates hadn't skyrocketed the way that they had. We were probably in the midst of a major panel crisis, not getting enough modules. Panel adders were through the roof, and now panel adders are 0, which is awesome. So a lot has changed. And the biggest one is the announcement that we're going to talk about, the big new partnership change. But, what has it been like? What's it been like for Boundless? How have you guys been able to navigate this ever-changing environment?
Well, I think last time we spoke, it was right in the middle of probably one of the toughest years in solar, 2022.
Yep.
I think we kind of got lucky in 2022, to be honest. Like, we kind of hit our stride right at the end of 2021. So 2022 is our biggest year of growth. 2023 was a great growth year as well, but 2022 is a year that I think we doubled in size and found ourselves, I felt just really lucky to be in the right place at the right time. We had the right partnership with you guys, and it's been that way kind of since day one. We started talking way back in 2020. I remember sitting with you and Brett and all three of you, really. And I remember sitting and talking about Freedom's business model and what's happening and Freedom coming to the East Coast and all of that. And I remember sitting there and thinking, there's a wave coming that is going to wreck people. And I'm not going to like I know that I'm not the strongest swimmer, so I'm going to swim with the current here, and we're going to jump on and we're going to go dominate. And so I feel really lucky and fortunate that we have the right partnerships. I think Freedom's done an amazing job. I think Brett's done an amazing job just navigating a difficult time and maintaining a position of strength throughout all of the turmoil of the industry. So it's been a really good ride. We've had ups and downs, opening new markets, challenges with net metering changes in California, all of those things we've had to navigate. And the one constant, I think, has been that Freedom's been a step ahead of the game every time something changes. And so being able to have the confidence when change comes that you can provide stability and you can provide a position of strength and a platform of strength when everybody else is scrambling to figure something out. I mean, if you're selling something, like you want to have the best product,
right. Right.
So that's what it's been like in a nutshell. I feel like we've been playing from a position of strength the whole time. And so, of course we're going to talk about a partnership, but what's it been like for you, man?
Well, it's funny, you were talking about 2022 where we finally started hitting our stride. I think as an organization, Boundless itself, we would start maturing. We started understanding the leadership, our own partners, the Boundless partners, our roles, which best suited our strengths so we could move forward. So the partnership with Freedom, it really allowed us, honestly, to make some mistakes, to go through some learning curves. And honestly, we're still learning. We still bang our head against the wall here and there. But the fact that Freedom is so strong and has been such a good partner with us, allowing us to really find our way, allowing us to make those mistakes, figure things out, and trusting us to be able to just push on through, move forward, and continue to grow. And with that, it's giving us the confidence that really every day that we wake up, we know because we've got the backing of Freedom that we can continue moving towards our mission. And then now, to basically create this partnership or finally put ourselves aligned together, like it was just inevitable. And I think we're all excited to finally execute on the full partnership with them.
Yeah, and so I want to get into a specific example because the one that people love to talk about is because you guys have the way your experience with Freedom is between us, but then there's what everybody else loves to talk about in the industry, right? And I hear all of it, the good, the bad, the ugly. The big one that everyone loves to talk about, at least in recent memory, is clawbacks, right? A year ago right now, we were about to institute a lot of clawbacks on projects that hadn't gotten to PTO within a timely manner. Finance companies were really starting to tighten up and pull money back on projects that hadn't gotten to PTO. And that was not easy. That was not fun for anybody. And so, you talk about how great the partnership has been, and yes, it has been, but we've had a lot of these challenges. Let's use that as an example. Like you talk about Brett being able to kind of be ahead of the curve. That's the best example to me because we did something, we started hitting sales reps paychecks in January. Nobody else even thought about that, I think, until like June or July of 2023. It was not easy. Like you guys could not have enjoyed that experience. I know I didn't, but it was what needed to be done, and it put pressure on sales reps to go get jobs to PTO, even though initially that was like, well, that's not my job. But they did it. And ultimately, that is what put Freedom in a position of strength because we didn't get hit by the clawbacks like everybody else did because we had resolved them before they became as big of an issue. And so that's what allowed us to stay ahead and stay strong as an example. So it wasn't easy. It wasn't fun, but it was the right decision, I think. And it was very, very proactive. So let's talk about that real quick because everybody felt clawbacks and there's companies today that are failing and going out of business because of things like that.
Every challenge is really the same challenge, and it's a relationship challenge. It's, do I trust that what you're doing is in the best interest of everybody, or do I believe that you're trying to get one over on me? For whatever reason, there's so much PTSD that people have where like they don't trust that somebody that makes a decision isn't trying to get one over on them.
Right.
We've operated from a place of trust with you guys from the very beginning, and we trust that you're going to be good partners and are acting in good faith, and you've been amazing partners for us. And so when all this stuff rolls out, there's two ways to go about it. And as a leader, it's important to communicate to people that like we need freedom to be healthy.
Yeah.
It's not everybody deals with the challenges. You either you get hit with the backlash of something later on, or like you're gonna get hit somehow, some way with whatever challenge comes. So it's just a matter of embracing change when it happens. I think we did a great job. I know Jay does an amazing job of communicating with everybody why this is going on and just having freedoms back. Like that's not my job. That's like, you're not allowed to say that in our organization. Like that's a stupid thing to say.
Yeah.
It is your job. It's everybody's job. And many things don't fall within anybody's job description. We all have the same job and the same goal, which is to get jobs to the roof, get them PTO'd, make sure that customers are well taken care of. And I think if everybody treats it as their job, ultimately everyone does a really good job. And you have to pick up the slack. Every now and then it always kind of moves where, it's a push and pull type thing where, we on the sales side, we got to pick up some slack because maybe we've grown on the sales side and freedom's a little bit stretched thin on the ops side. And so it requires that we pick up a little bit of slack. And then there's times when, freedom's grown and like, let's take the winter, for example, freedom's probably overstaffed certain months in the winter because sales volume dips. And so you kind of feel this ebb and flow or this push and pull. I think the communication, I think where Brett has won and where you guys have won is I think the communication's been great about what are these upcoming issues? This is what's happening. I just have so much trust in Brett now because he's been right so many times. He's like Babe Ruth, in the 30s World Series, calling his shot, and it's over and over again. He's like, hey, this is happening. This is going to happen nationwide.
Yep.
And so we start doing it first, and guess what? It's not happening nationwide.
Right.
And then some people drag their feet for a long time, and then all of a sudden everybody's doing it. Everybody's dealing with clawbacks, and then you see the real fallout. The real issue is not dealing with this stuff early, and then you're out of business.
Yep.
Because you didn't get ahead of it. So, I mean, you want to talk about just having foresight and being able to predict what the challenges are going to be, taking a proactive approach to solving those issues. I think Freedom did a great job. Doesn't mean it didn't come with a little bit of pain.
Yeah.
But I'd rather take a little bit of pain right now and then not have to deal with the massive burden of unforeseen problems or problems unaddressed. And I kind of feel like that's where we're at. And that's been a central theme or a common theme over and over and over again, that Freedom's just stayed ahead of things. And so there's times when everybody's thriving and Freedom might get, people might talk a little bit like, oh, Freedom's doing this thing. And then guess what? All of a sudden everybody's doing it, but nobody's thriving anymore. And now guess where Freedom is? Guess where we are?
Yep.
It was a tough year last year. Would the industry shrink 25%?
Somewhere around there.
Installs were down 25% or somewhere around that number. And I know your sales are up and your installs are up. I know our sales and installs are up almost 100% year over year. So that's pretty good. If the average was negative 25%, I'm feeling pretty good about it.
Yeah, absolutely. And it was tough. And that is a good example of you got to kind of show trust in the partnership at some point. It's like, yeah, you can talk all day long about what's in the contract, and we can go back and see what is and is not a contractual stipulation that can we do this? Can we not? But at the end of the day, if you come from a standpoint of hey, Freedom needs to do this, and this is what they're doing to help, this is what's in the best interest of everybody, you can kind of navigate a lot of these issues. That's what you guys have done such a good job of. People, and in this industry, people too easily, they just point to I think we all get paranoid. We have a little bit of PTSD from things that have happened in the past, right? Too many other companies have either gone out of business, or any change in pay or when they get paid or how they get paid is oh, are you healthy? Are you out of business? Is what's going on? Because that's what the early indicators have been in every other company. Whereas here, we make the difficult decisions maybe earlier than everybody else because we're trying to prevent those things from happening, right? And so having your guys' trust as we've made these difficult decisions and navigated all these challenges has, I think, been the difference. One of my favorite things, every time I call you and say, hey, we've got this thing and it's a negative thing, I'm rolling out something that is not good for you guys, your response is usually, what is that quote? Never attribute to malice what can be explained away with incompetence.
Yeah.
While I resent the incompetence concept, there is no malice, right? It's like, hey, we need to like link arms and do this together. And so, Kylie, you've been the president of sales for Freedom for a couple years now. You speak with the dealers on a regular basis. There has always been kind of this tug of war, it seems like, between sales and ops, right? See, Freedom's an ops company. You guys are sales companies, and we kind of pull against each other. With the strategy that we're rolling out now, how do you feel like this is going to change things versus, pulling against each other like we have in the past?
That's a good question. I think we've talked about partnership, right? So I believe the alignment that Jay talked about is going to be key in just making sure we're just more aligned. But with Boundless, you guys have been very gracious in your compliments of Freedom Forever, but it goes both ways. There needs to be at least two parties or more in a partnership, and you guys have been outstanding partners and have helped us grow and do all of the things that we've been able to do together. And in order for us to achieve our goals, we have to have great partners like yourselves that we can come to with difficult situations, and the communication has been key. And that's so really with Boundless, there is tug of war in ops and sales, right? But with Boundless, it's been that tug of war has been almost non-existent or very less frequent than maybe I've experienced in my career with other ops companies or sales relationships. So hats off to you guys, because that tug of war has not been a consistent thing, right? It's been easier to navigate.
Well, I think it comes down to really two words: trust, communication.
Yeah.
And the fact is you guys are really good at communicating, not just the good news, but the bad news. And we trust you. And with that, we can take the communication, the trust, and we deliver that to our people who trust us because we communicate with them.
Yeah. Yeah. And so, in the tug of war analogy, it's like with this new partnership, we're both on the same side, pulling in the same direction, right? Like what we want is what you want. What's good for you is good for us, and vice versa. So, Riley, I know we've been alluding to this. Without further ado, would you like to announce what the heck we're talking about?
We're here today to announce to everybody that we've made a deal. We made a deal with Freedom Forever between us and Freedom, a shared ownership deal. I think without getting into too much specifics, we are swapping stock. Boundless now owns Freedom Forever. Freedom Forever now owns Boundless. We each have a stake in each other's companies. And what's most exciting to me is that we've negotiated that within the next 5 years, or in 5 years, Freedom will acquire the remaining portion of Boundless Energy, and we are taking that opportunity and making that available to every single person in our organization to own Freedom Forever. It's an exciting time to be alive. This is something that we've dreamed about for a long time, is to be able to really create life-changing wealth for as many people as possible. And when you find the right partners, the value is just exponential. So taking the tug of war analogy, of course, if you got two teams and now you throw them on the same side, well, now you're pulling twice as hard and with very little resistance. And so you can move quite a bit of weight that way. And so that's really what's happening. The trust level, the trust level's been building and building and building over time. I think we've both, from the very beginning, made a strong effort to lead with trust and lead with the understanding that people have the best of intentions. And then that would either prove true or false over time.
Yeah.
And we led with our people that Freedom Forever was a great installer and great people that we could trust. And over time, that's proven to be true over and over and over again. If you were to go poll our salespeople and say, how good is Freedom Forever as an installer? And if we could actually take that data over time, you would see Freedom scores improving just consistently over time, everywhere, every single market. The hardest market in the country, at least one of them, is Massachusetts. Massachusetts has a 1-to-1 electrician ratio requirement for install crews. That means that for every one laborer, you must have one electrician on site. So if you have a crew of 6 people, you need 3 electricians.
Yeah.
So the cost to do it is really high. That means electricians are in really high demand. So it's hard to scale operations crews. So that's a challenge that everybody deals with. Our top salesperson this last year was Steve Diamond. He installed 128 jobs.
Wow.
And we were giving him his award at the end of the year, or the beginning of this year, which was only, a couple weeks ago. And, he's telling everybody, this was my best year ever in solar. I did 126 installs one year, just did 128. And he said, the best part about this is, he's like, Freedom is crushing it. He's like, I had a 14-day install. In Massachusetts.
That's awesome.
We're excited about the partnership.
Yeah.
I mean, Jay, you and I have talked about this. We were deliberating. We've been talking and negotiating to try and figure out how to make this thing work. And when I say negotiating, it's really around. We knew that we wanted to work with you guys, and that the best path forward for everybody was long-term partnership with Freedom Forever.
Yeah.
I think you knew the same thing in return, and then it was just figuring out kind of how do we structure it in a way that we feel great about and you feel great about. And so there was some time there where we were figuring that out. All along the way, I mean, every time we talk about it, anytime you ever, because it's like you make a big decision, it's like, is this really? And every time, we probably had that moment, 2 or 3 times, and I think every time we'd maybe make a list or write some things out, and we'd walk away every time like, yeah, like it's the play.
It really from day one, this is just inevitable. This
Yeah.
is basically closing the loop, and because we've been in a partnership with Freedom from day one. We've been aligned on our goals. Freedom has been there, helping us, helping us grow. And we've, in turn, been, growing for Freedom. And so this was just inevitable. We're really excited about this. And now really having the strength of Freedom behind us as really in a partnership, we just feel, we've continued to grow from day one since we started this organization. I think now we're going to be on a kind of a rocket trajectory. And I'm excited about that.
Yeah, a lot of people love to say, well, Freedom is building its own in-house sales force, with Solar Pros and now Boundless, right? And these partnerships are, I don't know, semantics. You could use that word, I guess. But what we're trying to do, what we did with the super dealer model, right, is like, I've always said, is like this good, better, best, right? The dealer model is good. It helps us stay focused on what we are good at. It lets sales dealers be focused on what they're good at. But the super dealer model was better. It allowed you guys to really focus on selling, training, and recruiting. We took a lot off your plate in terms of payroll, some marketing, some other back office help. But with that came the bigger you guys got and the bigger our super dealers got, it was a 5-year deal, which at the time, you're like, that's a long time, 5 years. It goes by fast, right? And it's gone by fast. And so at the end of the 5 years, you're a substantial portion of our volume. And we were a big reason or a help. We helped each other to get you to that point. And at the end of the 5 years, we don't want you to just say, okay, we're almost 5 years up. We're going to start looking around now. Now we've built all these ops and all this infrastructure around your sales teams and sales volume that we've collectively helped get to that point. We don't want you walking out the door. We can't, that's a huge concentration risk to our business. Very early on, we started to try and conceptualize like, what does a long-term, like a forever deal look like? And I think on our side too, it's like, okay, the super dealer model was amazing, but it always was kind of another step toward the end thing that we needed to figure out, which is like, how do we create a partnership that doesn't have an end? Because that's how Freedom is, that's what Freedom needs. That's what ops companies need. If you're another ops company out there, you need consistent sales volume because you have fixed costs every single week. You got to pay payroll. You got to pay your utility bill, your lights and your rent and all that stuff. And so with assuring and stabilizing the sales partnerships, it allows us to operate unencumbered. We don't have these obstacles or these concerns, and now we can just go, right? We can just go fast. So that's what's so exciting about it for me, is in the back of my mind, I don't ever think like, oh, you know, we got to keep Boundless. We got to find a way to make them happy and keep them here. Now I can, you know, abuse you as much as I want and you're not going anywhere.
Right, and vice versa.
Yeah.
It's really good. And I got to say, the fact that, you know, kudos to us, and I'm not one to pat our own backs, you know.
No,
I'm not one
never.
to toot my own horn.
Kudos to us, though.
But
You're the humblest guys you know.
I'm probably the most, I would say.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say, now that I think about it, and thank you for pointing that out, because I would never have pointed that out for myself.
Of course
so thank
not.
you.
Never.
But we'd really like to thank us.
For everything that has transpired.
No, I was just gonna say the wasted mental energy and the wasted time trying to forecast and design a plan B is so wasteful.
Yep.
It's so bad. I mean, just the thought of, what if the partnership doesn't work? What if we become at odds? Like, you can't as a business owner, you can't not have a plan B.
Right.
You may not have to put too much time and energy, but you must have at least a soft landing somewhere.
For sure.
And so the amount of time that goes into creating something like that, and I think one of your quotes, one of my favorite quotes actually of yours, you said, sometimes it's the very energy that you put into creating a plan B that causes plan B to become plan A.
Yeah.
And it's 100% right. All of a sudden we're planning for each other's departure. We're planning for a breakup. And so now we're just not being nice to each other or looking for reasons why it's, you know. So the fact that you guys thought that we would consider looking elsewhere after 5 years, great poker face, Jay. The reality is freedom's the best in the market. It's not even close. This partnership, what I'm so excited about, I just love winning, dude.
Yeah.
I love winning. I love bringing people in and not having to sell people on some it's like, you know why you should come here? Because our culture's really good. It's like, well, anybody can do that. You could have a bad business model and a great culture.
Yeah.
Cool shirts.
You can have, like, come here because our gear is sweet. Now, you got to sell customers at really high prices, and
Commissions.
you might not sleep well at night because that's not good for them, and you know that they shouldn't be paying that much, but shirts are cool, you know. What I'm excited about is what we're doing now, what we have with this partnership is there's an unfair advantage in the market. It's unfair. We have the lowest baselines in the industry. So you're sitting in a home with a customer. I was just laughing with Bo about this last night. You know what Bo was telling me? He's like, as a sales leader, one of the objections that you deal with, or the common themes that you deal with all the time, is your reps coming to you and saying, hey, like, I can't win deals because my red line is too high.
Yeah.
And he's like, I've dealt with that objection. He's like, I have a talk track for that I've been honing in for 8 years. He's like, and I looked down, he's like, I was just reflecting yesterday and I realized that since March, I have not said those words. It's not an objection anymore because of the way that the model is structured, Freedom's model, our model, it's all fully aligned. Our people can win deals.
Yeah.
Which is good for them because they get a customer. We all know the easiest deal is the next door neighbor to somebody that just went solar with you, or the family member, or the whatever, somebody that they know. That's the easiest deal.
Right.
And you kiss those goodbye when you have to price gouge somebody. They get installed because you're lucky they didn't do too much research. Then post-mortem, they're looking around, going on Energy Sage or something like that, only to realize that you just got one over on them at $2-3 a watt more than they should have paid. Well, guess who their friends and family are going solar with somebody else.
Right.
Like every deal, I just feel it's crazy, man. It's crazy. So every deal that you get is either going to open up a neighborhood and open up a network to you, or it's going to close it off. And there's literally people and business models out there that everywhere they're going, they're just blacklisting themselves until the whole map is blacked out.
It's a huge problem. And that's another issue that we need to tackle together. It's like, we talk about all the challenges of the past. Well, the challenge of the future is compliance. It's sales regulation. And if we don't regulate it ourselves, we've said this so many times on this podcast, if we don't self-regulate, then somebody else is going to come in and they don't understand this business. And so they're going to do things like we've seen several states already pass legislation that is an effort to try and fix this issue that is sales compliance, that is price gouging. I don't think those fixes are the right ways to fix it, but I don't blame them for trying to figure something out, because if not, you've got too many other companies that are out completely like they can sell whatever they want at whatever price they want, and they're taking advantage of people and their ignorance. And so it's like they have to do something. But the problem is they're not actually solving the problem with the decisions they're making. They're creating more problems, but they don't know. They don't understand it either. And so that's why if we can figure that out ourselves, then they don't have to come in and try to fix it with some solution that isn't a good solution. So that's something that's a good example of something in the future that I think collectively we need to figure out how to tackle, right? And with this partnership where your interests are the same as our interests, Freedom has acquired a percentage of Boundless. Boundless is going to own a percentage of Freedom. And with that partnership, we want what's best for the industry, but most importantly for our kind of ecosystem, right? And that is the only way to navigate this next set of challenges that are coming.
We feel great because stability is an incredible asset, and security long term is an incredible asset. When starting over sucks. There's probably people listening to the podcast that have been in the industry for a long time that have maybe started over once or twice, or are even starting over again. And I'm not going to sugarcoat it. Starting over sucks.
Yeah.
You lose position. You have to relearn lessons. It's like, playing a video game and, the Nintendo 64 gets unplugged and you got to go play the same level that you just beat.
Not fun.
It's not even fun. All of a sudden, the joy of playing the game is gone. You're just begrudgingly going through the motions just to get back to where you were, where things were new and exciting.
Yeah.
And so the industry is poised to create a lot of starting over positions. And that's happening right now where there is uncertainty. The dealer model is inherently uncertain.
Yeah.
There's no loyalty. I mean, what happens when, and obviously there's turmoil with the installers. So we got installers going out of business.
But they think they can use a bunch of other installers, and installers are a dime a dozen. So
and what they end up doing there is killing the very hand that feeds them.
Yeah, I know.
It's crazy. So what's exciting about this is we've been able to come to an agreement where we're psyched, you're psyched. Our people get to play the game, and we're making it available that everybody can own a piece of Freedom Forever, which is a valuable asset.
Yep.
And we're valuable to Freedom Forever.
Yep.
And vice versa. And all we're doing is collectively we can create more value, and it can grow, and it's exponential, it multiplies. And I just think we're going to do a lot of really epic things this year. And there's a ton of talent out there that is right now charging customers. I think my message to anybody right now is this. It's that if you say you value your customers and you charge them well over $4+ a watt all the time, if you're in the $5 a watt, you don't care about your customers. You don't. You're a liar. That's right. You don't care about them. You care about your money. You're selfish. We don't want you. Nobody should want you. Your customers don't want you. So the reality is if you actually care about the customers that you claim to serve, then you probably need to be selling at fair prices.
Yep.
And that's where we're really going to win. The more we keep doing this, like look everywhere. Freedom is dominating and getting better everywhere. Look at online reviews, look at install timelines, look at costs, look at pricing, like every metric.
Look at our sales tech.
Look at the sales tech, like every single metric. You want to talk, like, I could do a commercial for Freedom right now.
I think you just did.
I mean, I'm telling you what, like, I'm sitting down, so I'm telling people all this stuff, right? Like, these are the competitive advantages. And really, like, for me, I just talk about what matters to me. What matters to me is I want to know that I actually have the best product. I want to know that what I'm selling is actually better. I want to know that I can actually win deals in the home because our pricing is better. I want to know that our salespeople can make more money while selling at better pricing than any of the competitors. Like, I want to know we can win. I want to know that our people can have an opportunity to play the game and they can play in the equity game. I want to sell that. I want that to be available to everybody. That all matters to me. I go on these riffs and I'm talking about this and they're like, well, what does like the portal look like? And I'm like, oh,
You want to talk software?
the portal. Oh, how would you like to know literally everything about your job? Everybody that touched it, everything they said, every button they pressed. How would you like to have a log recorded showing everything, every timeline, every time stamp? You want to do anything with the push of a button? You need a document, you need this, you need that. Push 2 buttons. There you go. It's so good. Shout out to Zach Bloom and team because that's a beast of a project. And I got to be honest, I didn't know if they were going to pull it off.
I didn't either. I was one of the doubters. But that's because on the sales side, we didn't see any of the benefits for years. I mean, years. They're building nothing but ops stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm fighting with Brett. And I'm like, Brett, I need you to build this and this and this. The sales guys are at my throat right now. And he's like, his exact quote to me is, hey, Chad, I know you're feeling like you're paddling upstream. Keep paddling.
It's only because you
And
are.
I'm like fighting. And I'm like, this is killing us. And I go, Zach is not good at what he does. And little did I know that he was just chopping away in the mine, and he was 3 feet from diamonds. And I was asking Brett, like, we need to cut bait, turn around, and find a different mine. And he was like, nope, we're going to keep going. And we broke through. And shout out to Val Rosas, too, because she was one of the ones that kind of pushed it over the edge. But yes, I mean, that's what has allowed us to really, truly scale.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, we could talk about all the great things, but ultimately, you can't scale construction unless you have a very, very intelligent software that can adapt and get better over time the longer you're in a market. We can customize it based on the AHJ, based on the HOA, based on the utility, the billing structure in that utility. I mean, we can customize it to infinity in every single project. That's what you need in order to do custom construction. So,
well, one thing on that too, what a lot of people don't realize when you talk about that advantage is if you were to, like, you go sign a contract with a company that gives you a CRM, you start to build inside of that CRM, and you start to add pieces to the suite of products that you have. You start to add seats as you start to grow. Eventually, you become held hostage by them. Mm-hmm. Your whole business relies on this other company whose only goal is to increase their profit margins so that they can report quarterly growth. And so the way those software companies are built and modeled out is to increase what they make per customer per year, whether that's by growing headcount or number of seats that they're selling or increasing pricing or adding other things to it. So that cost starts to become something that is so gigantic that it actually doesn't come down on a per watt basis the same way. Like what we now have is something that is really enabling us to drive costs down. And it's not, again, it's an unfair advantage. This is a what, 7-year project?
yeah.
It's a 7-year head start. You want to have the most robust project management tool on planet Earth. You can have it in 7 years. With AI though, now, like, you can maybe get it in 3 or 4.
Yeah.
You know, there's some advances in your ability to develop software and whatnot these days, but 7-year head start, and it's so good.
So I want to talk about this advantage, this unfair advantage you keep talking about. So what have been the effects of the unfair advantage? Kylie, your job as a president of sales is to keep recruiting, keep building, keep our sales dealers growing. What has recruiting been like? Because it's been really tough in the solar market. It's been a really, really tough 6 months, year, whatever you want to call it. It's been a tough 3 years if you want to go back to COVID. Like, it has not been stable at all. But with these unfair advantages you're talking about, what has recruiting been like in the last 6 months?
Full transparency, it's just been easy. It's been, in the past, in the industry, it's been who you know, right? Like Riley needed a place to go, was making some changes in his career, and through reaching out to, myself, Danny Rubin, it was making that connection. So you had to kind of know somebody to get in. Right now, with all of these unfair advantages, everyone's reaching out. They know what's out there. You talk about the strategic advantage of the software, the pricing, the equipment, the install timelines, the reviews, everything getting better and better and better. That just this full quiver of advantages, and people are reaching out from every angle because they know that it's going on. They may have one or two of those arrows, but not all of them, and so I can't keep up. That's where we're at right now. It's hard, but with this partnership and with the deepening partnership and forever partnership, it's very easy for me to say, hey, these inquiries that come in, you're in really great hands with our partner dealer, not hey, come and talk to one of our dealers, so they immediately feel like I'm just a sub dealer of another dealer and another layer. But they come in and they know that they're working directly with Freedom because you are a part of Freedom.
You have a portfolio of companies that you own, and we're one of them. And yeah, it makes sense.
I just kind of want to go back, and you had mentioned that Freedom felt a little vulnerable by having sub-dealers basically be their sales force.
Yep.
And the funny thing is Boundless also felt vulnerable knowing we were approaching our 5-year agreement with you guys and saying, again, as we talk about, okay, do we need to at least think about a plan B? What if, as we're getting to the end of the partnership, there are things that Freedom may be focusing on that may not be Boundless-centric.
Yeah.
And so it added a little bit of, not instability in our company, but a little bit of chaotic thinking. It was a distraction.
Yeah.
It was not fully knowing what our future was, and that was a distraction. We would never want to be one of those sales organizations that has 7 different installers. What a disaster. And number one is you're not even serving your salespeople correctly. This installation organization is fantastic, but they're too busy, so now we're going to put your installs with this installation organization who's not that good. You can't even sit at the kitchen table and basically promote, which is the biggest part of the whole job, is the installation portion of it. And that sets the tone for the experience of the future of solar on your house. So closing that gap, closing that loop, and allowing us no longer to be distracted by it. And it was a distraction this year. It was a distraction. And it enables us to really focus on the one thing we're really good at, the one thing that you guys brought us in to do is we're a sales arm of Freedom. We're going to go out and sell.
Yeah, so many of these multiple installer models that everybody has that has just never worked and continues to not work. We're definitely running in the opposite direction, but all you got to do is look at the past and how many of these installers have the sales companies literally put out of business because they give them all of the volume and then they say, oh, your pricing isn't as good as this other company, so we're going to shift everything. That first company just built all their operations up for that volume, and now that volume just walked out the door. That would bankrupt any company. If a sizable organization built up a large percentage of the volume and then immediately one day just left, that would be incredibly difficult for that company to survive.
And people also forget, all installation companies aren't the same. So you've got people like you're saying, you got You've got reps or organizations chasing the lowest cost installer, which is typically, when you're talking about small installers, that's not the best installer.
They're usually the worst
it's not-
installer.
right. Now, a large installation company like Freedom Forever, the number one, installer, well, yeah, because you have scale. You're large enough.
You can be cheap because you buy in bulk.
Yes.
Right. Yeah, we buy panels for probably half of what a lot of these other regional installers are paying. Literally, that's not an exaggeration.
Well,
How
we
do you
were
compete
laughing-
with a company that is paying for product at half the cost?
Yeah, you skip the middleman. You go right to the manufacturer. You skip the distributor. So there's a whole chunk of money that's being saved right there.
Brett's been maniacally focused. He said this from the first time I met him. We're going to drive down cost, and we're going to do 50% of the install volume in the United States. And we're going to do that by driving down cost through economies of scale. And he said something that stuck with me that just kind of had me leaving that call going, I want to be on his team.
Yeah.
I want to win championships. And I know I'm not Michael Jordan.
That's true.
I'm LeBron. I'm just kidding. Just playing.
I was waiting for like Dennis Rodman,
No,
or
I'm
maybe
definitely.
even
But he is
I'm
Michael
definitely.
Steve Kerr.
I'm Steve Kerr.
No, he's Michael Jordan's driver.
I'm Steve Kerr, dude.
Tony
Oh,
Kukoc,
Scottie
maybe.
the kook. Anyway, I remember seeing Brett and thinking like that's the guy that's going to win the championships. Like he's going to win. I want some rings. Yeah, I'm Steve Kerr. I'll be Steve Kerr.
Yeah.
And we're winning. He called his shot. Everything he said, we're going to drive down costs for economies of scale. He said something about other CEOs in the industry, not to call him out, but he said if your business is growing in size and your cost is not going down, your business model is broken. Economies of scale work. If they don't work for you, it's because you're bad at business.
Yeah.
And here we go. It's gotten better and better and better. More of an advantage, more of an advantage, more of an advantage, over and over again. So it's an exciting time to be alive. There's a lot of different models. You know what? There's plenty of ways to succeed. I think there's plenty of people in the industry that aren't with us today that are good people, that are doing good business, that are doing right by their customers. I think there's a lot of people that are not. But I think that over time, like attracts like. And I think that the great players in the industry that are not with us today are going to more and more and more start to see and feel the effects of being on the other side of the advantages that we have.
Yeah.
And not having them is just silly. Like it's just, why wouldn't you take advantage of all of the thing, like to be able to win deals? Like you can win every deal. There's not a scenario. I've never seen a single scenario where we go into the house and we can't win the deal.
Yeah, no, and so for all these reasons, there's a million reasons why somebody should be like you. Like, I got to get on that team. I want to be on the winning team. All right, but there's a lot of people out there who've like you said, they've done good things and they've made good money and they've probably built a successful organization. And in their minds, they're like, well, why can't I go and be the next Boundless or the next Solar Pros? Why can't I be? Can I call Freedom and onboard like that? And our answer is going to be no. We are not taking on new dealers. Like, we've picked our partners, we're riding this thing out. And so what is the invitation to these other groups and sales leaders and organizations, whether they're doing their own installs or using other installers, whatever it is, whatever point they're at, if they are listening to this and they're thinking, you're right, I'm tired of being on the losing team or like fighting against this thing where like Freedom is the installer. It's like Amazon with servers, AWS, like that's it. They won the market. Mm-hmm. Google uses AWS, I think. Like, it doesn't matter who you are, that's who you use for your servers. And so if that's what Freedom becomes, how do you get somebody who either has a big ego or has just done good things, done big things, who wants to join? How do they come over?
So I think the invitation is this. If you aspire to have an event in your life through your business building efforts, then there is one path which is very uncertain that probably doesn't lead to that event, just statistically speaking.
Yeah.
You may be really good, but you might be unlucky. Good people get unlucky all the time. Flat tires happen to race car drivers.
Right.
It just happens. So if you were good and you aspire to that, one path, it may not happen. The other path, we have a certain event where you can have that. And I think the invitation is to reach out if you want to talk about it. We don't want everybody. I don't want everybody.
Right.
If you're really good and our values aren't aligned, I can make a recommendation, but we're not looking for everybody. We want people that are great human beings, that are great leaders, that really value the people that work with them and work on their teams. We want leaders that go in the field. Like, I want leaders that go in the field. Jay and I go to market, we're knocking doors. Like, we don't do it every day. That would be bad for business if we did it every day. But if we're going to the market, you can bet your we're going to go get on some doors. That's what the business is. We go out and find business. We're salespeople. And so I want leaders that are selling. I want leaders that actually do work and that actually go out and work with their people and show them the way. We want leaders that do right by customers. I don't want the price gougers. I don't want permit poachers. I want people that do good, clean business, that understand solar, that don't blame everybody else for their problems. I want people that understand that this is a long game, and that if you get aligned with the right people and you commit and you have trust and you're a good partner, you receive good partnership in return. We want people that are capable of growing and that just do and are all of those things. Those people are going to come and work with us, and those people are going to win big. Those people are going to have the sickest 5-year run that they've ever had. Like, we got everything that is needed to have the most epic 5-year run of your life, if that's the type of person that you are.
But we also, you said, what do we tell those people who have a business? How do we get them to be a part of us? Like, build your business with the protection of Boundless, with the protection of freedom. You don't have to worry about marketing. You don't have to worry about gear. The platform, support on the operations side. So you can come, build your business here, have some of the lowest baselines in the industry. You can make great money. You can build your business, build a team, grow a region. And again, as Riley mentioned a few times, and then even your business, so-called, your region, well, you'll be able to make it on the equity side of things in 5 years. So I think that it's kind of, you're not giving something up if you had a business and you come over to Boundless. What you're really doing is you're getting the support and some additional tools to just be able to be bigger than you were.
Yeah, I think the message is, if you've been good, that's amazing, right? Boundless was good when they started. Freedom was good, but together we've been great, and that should be the message to teams that are inquiring, to people out there in the industry. If you are good, come to Freedom, come and partner with us, and be great, because we are doing some amazing things, and we have all of these competitive advantages, and we're going to dominate.
Yeah, and so like your message to these other companies and dealers and sales leaders is, there is an acquisition strategy that's already in place. You don't need to, like, a lot of these sales reps and leaders are trying to figure out, okay, how can I make my business valuable so I can go get acquired? I want to build a company, I want to sell it.
Yeah, everybody's got that in mind.
And everybody's kind of looking for the door, and we're actually not, ironically, right? Like, we don't have these desires to go public anytime soon. But we've created a strategy where there is this transaction that is it's in the documents, right? That there will be a transaction between us that will provide this event for your top producing salespeople. And so, like, that box is checked. It's a matter of how big it's going to be, and that's based on how much they're able to build. And so you're right. Like, that's no longer this if scenario. It's a matter of when. And so then the rest of it is the only if is like if it's going to be a small amount or a large amount.
And make no mistake, it's funny. It's like we keep talking about it, that we have this 5-year event, and the 5-year event is really just not a stop on the road. It's just a check on the road. It's an opportunity for you not only to have equity and real ownership in this organization, but then beyond 5 years. This isn't like, now I have equity in the organization, now I can go home. Like Boundless in 5 years is going to be a really, really big, strong organization. The new entity, which really ultimately is Freedom Forever, that we're all going to be a part of, is just going to be even larger by a huge magnitude. And so it's not that the 5-year is an exit plan. The 5 year is really the start of something that I don't think even Riley and myself could imagine.
I think Brett put it well yesterday. He's like, everybody's walking around scared, like I gotta like make hay while the sun shines. Like this solar thing isn't gonna last forever. It's like electricity consumption is going up year after year after year. People are using more and more power. There's going to be more electric vehicles on the road than there are gas-powered vehicles within the next 10, they're predicting 10 to 15 years. More new vehicles sold will be electric than gas.
Yeah.
Okay, so what happens when everybody starts coming home from work and they start plugging their cars in? Consumption goes up. You have an electric vehicle, your usage doubles.
Yep.
My usage doubled when I started plugging a car in at night. And
Which is why you went to a vehicle that gets 10 miles a gallon now.
That's correct.
What'd you buy, a Hummer?
No.
Okay.
No,
I don't think they're electric now. The Hummers are now electric.
Yeah. No, I bought it's a Fiat 500.
Of course.
And, whoa. You're just jealous that you didn't get a Fiat sponsorship like I did, So anyway, it's a nice one. It's not the upper. It's cloth seats, but it does have powered windows and
one of them is powered. The other one doesn't really work.
And I got the oversized windshield wiper fluid container, so I can actually shoot
The
twice.
reservoir.
But you have that really cool,
reservoir.
long, kind of short European license plate on
Yeah.
it.
You know
instead of a normal-
the smart car? This is a little bit bigger than that.
Okay.
It's a little bigger.
Okay.
Yeah. It fits me comfortably. You add Jay into it, it's a little bit.
Looks like
it's
a clown
not
car.
enjoyable.
It looks like a clown car.
Neither one of us enjoys that ride.
No.
And-
And we normally don't enjoy the ride even in a van.
Yeah, mostly because of our conflicting personalities.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm
So-
right. He's not.
But
It's
anyway, consumption's going up. There's a need. There's just a massive need to just keep putting solar panels up. And I think homeowners are going to use more electricity over time. Batteries are going to start getting attached to projects. I think we're probably a few years away from that becoming the standard instead of the exception. And there's just a long, long runway. So it's an exciting time. Back to the point of it's like we have a strategy, we have a deal, we have a partnership, we have a contract that says this will be. And what will be is that there's going to be an acquisition event and people are going to become wealthy and owners of Freedom Forever, which is, according to Wood Mackenzie, quite possibly the largest installer in the United States today, which Brett told me he was going to be. And he is. And he's telling me he's going to be 50% market share. And based on what I'm seeing, I don't have reasons to doubt him. I haven't been given any yet. I keep looking. So I view it like this. I mean, there's sometimes people are just stubborn, like back before cell phones were around. If you were lost, you would just go ask somebody for directions.
Right.
Unless you were too prideful.
Yeah.
I could just see Jay and his wife in the car saying, just go ask somebody where it is. And he'd be like, I know where I'm going.
He's not wrong. One time we literally went on a half-hour drive, and I ended up in Florida, which was about 24 hours. And I finally asked directions, and we drove back to Mass.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So I just think, you can drive around aimlessly looking for the answer. Like we have the directions.
Yeah.
Like we got the GPS coordinates. Like, here you go. You want to build? You want an acquisition event? Like you want to do, here's the play. You can plug in and do this for sure. You can take a flyer and maybe, you can you can leave it up to chance, and you might get lucky. But like you're guaranteed if you can just deliver, you're gonna get lucky.
It's interesting you said that people use that cliche, you got to make hay while the sun shines.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, well, last time I checked, the sun's been shining for 14.5 billion years.
Mm-hmm.
Let's build a business model around the sun continuing to shine. I don't think there's much more of a certain business model that you can create. And so that mentality of like, how long is solar going to be around? Let's make as much money as we can while it lasts. This gold rush, it is toxic. It's wrong. It needs to go away. And that's why we're trying to create some long-term strategies and long-term partnerships that are still going to be here through the COVIDs, through supply chain disruption, through interest rate increases, through whatever the next challenges are. We need to stay stable and strong and keep going up and to the right. And that's the direction we're going. That's what's so exciting about this. And I can't thank you guys enough for the partnership, for your loyalty, for your trust. It hasn't been easy. It's not going to continue to be. There's still going to be challenges. It's not going to be perfect, right? But I'm 100% confident that with our partnership, with our relationship, with companies like Boundless, that we'll be able to navigate them, and we'll continue to dominate, and we'll stay on the forefront of the industry. And we need to be, like Brett always says, we need to be that beacon, that light that everybody else is looking to. Because if we don't set that example, then who will?
There's going to be a lot of winning. It's just going to be win after win after win. There's going to be so much. People are going to be tired of winning. It'll be so much winning.
I don't get tired of winning.
A lot of celebrating too.
Yeah.
Come to Boundless, come and celebrate.
Well, there you have it. They are Boundless, Freedom Forever, and Boundless are getting married, and we are going to be partnered forever. Thank you guys for your partnership. We can't wait for the next couple years. I'm very excited to see what we can do together, and thank you guys for joining.
Thank you, Chad. Let's go stack some wins.
Thank you, Chad. Thank you, Kylie.
Appreciate you guys.
Thank you, Kylie.
And congratulations.
More than Jay.
I said it first. So I win.
Just said it more.
I win. And thank you a lot, Kylie, like a lot.
You got it.
Jay wins. All right, that's it.